right, welcome back to the Optimistic Fan Club, my people. Thank you so much for tuning in. This video is not going to be about the Green Bay Packers game. That is upcoming. If you want to hear about that, hit the link in the description below. That will be on Patreon, as most of our game previews probably will. So if you want to support the channel, that is the only way that you can do it. That or the super chats on our live shows. Those live shows, we've done 2 so far. They've been really fun. And we're going to keep doing them as, you know, people really seem to enjoy that, to conversate. And you can find us there. They're not going to be after Sunday Night Football anymore. Last week we did it at like 5:30. It threw some people off. I think that that's going to be the way that we do it. I got to come at you with more energy. I got to give the people what they want. And I got a kid now, so by the time it's 11:30, 12, whatever, I just don't got the steam right now. Maybe we'll return to it somewhere down the line in another season, but for now, I think we're going to do a midday show and break up the 1 o'clock slate and Sunday Night Football. So with all that being said, what is this video about? We need to talk about the big bugaboo, the big thing that is plaguing the Browns right now, and really has since last season. It's this offense. This offense is putrid. It is terrible. It is boring. It is unimaginative, and it is the antithesis of explosive. And with all that being said, where do we point the fingers? Where do we point the blame? Is it Joe Flacco? Is it Kevin Stefanski, the offensive line? Is it all of the above? You know, I've been a staunch defender of Kevin Stefanski for quite some time, and I think that that is justified in a lot of ways. I haven't given him a pass on the things that I think ultimately really, really, really matter. In terms of like discipline, in terms of toughness. I don't think that those things have necessarily been there. And I think that that is often a reflection of your head coach. 1000% discipline is, but toughness especially. I mean, Kevin Stefanski's no Mike McDaniel. This isn't like a cream puff, weak, soft team. There are some serious dudes. There are some dogs on this team, without a doubt. And I think that Stefanski has a stoic toughness to him. However, he's no Dan Campbell, you know? Maybe not even a Ben Johnson, right? A more cerebral, whatever guy, but you can feel the intensity with Ben Johnson. Stefanski doesn't give that to you. However, with all of that, we're talking more so tactically and like how you produce offensively. I saw Tony Grossi and Tony Rizzo. I believe they're both Tonys, the Tonys. I don't listen to the show live or anything, but I see the clips like most people do on Twitter, and they're arguing, going back and forth. And I believe it was Tony Grossi, or whichever one, was saying that, look, like you look around the league and when coaches come in, they have the offense figured out and they turn around a program in 1 year. And I was listening to that saying, well, if that's the definition and the logic that you're using, Kevin Stefanski has already satisfied that criteria. From 2019 to 2020, they went from how many wins did they have in 2019? Definitely wasn't a lot. They definitely didn't make the playoffs. What was it, 5, 6? They won 11 games in 2020, and the offense was completely reimagined, and they were 3rd in the league in rush yards per game, and they were middle of the pack. They were 16th in points scored per game, which was good enough, and their defense really was not at a super high level. They had Myles Garrett, but that defense was not as good as the offense was in those periods. It's obviously flipped since then. But I think that the biggest reason for the flip, and the biggest reason that you're seeing the fall off that you are now, which to me is why you got to give Stefanski a little bit of grace here, purely comes down to talent. I mean, look at the teams that have great talent but questionable coaching. I look no further. Look no further than the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Sirianni, I don't think, calls a play. I mean, he had to give up those duties a while back because Philly's offense was completely stagnant, like before they had been to the Super Bowl and won it. But they are so overloaded with talent on the offensive line, in the receivers room. They have Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts is no scrub. He's a very good quarterback. Defensively, they are unbelievable. Vic Fangio is a great defensive coordinator. This team is so stacked, they just can't lose. Coaching obviously matters in football, no matter what. And Sirianni is obviously very good at getting his team to buy in and do all those things. But tactically, I don't know how much of an impact he ultimately has, because he's not a play caller. He's not a coordinator. But the talent there is what separates them from the pack. If you go back to 2020 and you look at the Browns offense, I mean, look at some of the names that they had on that team in terms of their offensive roster. You know, Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., Austin Hooper, David Njoku, Wyatt Teller, a young Wyatt Teller, a young Joel Bitonio. I forget if they had J.C. Treader. I think this was before Posich. They had Jack Conklin, who they had just traded for. They had a young rookie, Jed Wills, who was not nearly as bad as he ultimately became. He was a serviceable left tackle at that time. And then you have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in their primes. It's like, that is what made you great. You could execute the system that Stefanski had in place because you could pass protect. You could run block. You had talented ball carriers. You had explosive wide receivers. You had wide receivers who were good after the catch. You had reliable hands catching tight ends in Austin Hooper. I mean, say what you will about Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper had one of the great catches of, you know, maybe Browns history if they wind up winning that divisional game against Kansas City. Go back and watch that 4th and 3 play when they're driving down to try and come back and win. The season's on the line. Austin Hooper makes an amazing play. Like, they were just loaded with talent relative to the point that they are now. And I think that that's ultimately what this comes down to. The Browns situation right now, they do not have a talented receiving room. And I went off about this on the live. Jerry Jeudy is not a number 1 wide receiver. He's very, very talented. He's probably the highest end number 2 that you could have, ultimately. But even relative to championship teams like Philadelphia, he's not a high end 2. I mean, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, which one of those is a number 2 receiver, you know? I mean, look at Minnesota. Justin Jefferson, absolutely the number 1. But Jordan Addison, he would be the number 1 receiver in Cleveland. And I think that Browns fans become too in love with the people who they have on the roster. I've talked about this at length, where it's like, oh man, Rashard Higgins, bring back Rashard Higgins, bring back Jarvis Landry. It's like, these guys are old. Like, Rashard Higgins is a firefighter now. We're too locked in on the names of these people because they've spent time in Cleveland. So we get obsessed with the legend of who they are because maybe they were tied to some good times. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we don't have enough explosion. We don't have enough receivers who can just catch the ball on a regular basis. The drops that plague this team, it's like we're going back to the Muhammad Massaquoi days. It's like that is the level at which we are dropping the ball now. So you can't be successful. I mean, Cleveland would have at least 1 win if Jerry Jeudy, and, you know, you can't put on Harold Fanning because he's a rookie, but if Jerry Jeudy doesn't drop that 4th down in week 1, I think that we win that game ultimately. Obviously, the kicking matters. I'm not trying to put it all on Jerry Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy is a very good football player. He obviously is. He had a great year last year, but a lot of that was backloaded with Jameis Winston, and he made the plays when they came his way. He just doesn't make the plays when they come his way often enough, and I think that that's what it is. It's not about the X's and O's. It's about the Jimmies and Joes. And I think that if you want to look at where changes need to be made immediately, I would say Chad O'Shea, the wide receivers coach. He's led an inept unit of receivers year in and year out, and the Browns lead the league in drops consistently. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. Cedric Tillman, talented guy, has not ascended. Jamari Thrash has not ascended. These guys aren't good enough. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Guys are creating some separation, not enough, and not at an elite enough level. But it's not all on the receivers. Look at the offensive line. It is decimated. It is old. Joel Bitonio apparently missed practice today. I think he might have missed it the day before. Dude is on his last legs. Wyatt Teller is not the same guy. Posich, I don't know about him. You got DeJuan Jones missing series because it's hot out. It's 78 degrees. It's gorgeous football weather. I don't know what's going on. Then he's coming out and saying that it was a coach's precaution. I don't know. Jack Conklin has been consistently injured except for the 1 year when we didn't need him because we sucked anyways. The bright spots and where this team becomes explosive is purely in the rookie class. And that is why when people are being like, oh, Andrew, like you see Anthony Lima and Ken Carman and whatever, and those guys are fine. They're funny. Good listens. they're talking about Andrew Berry like he's a lock to be thrown out. And in the wake of the Deshaun Watson thing, it's like that's kind of your only argument. And sure, addressing the offensive line is a big deal, but he nailed this draft. Quinshaw Judkins, Dylan Sampson, Dylan Gabriel looks like he will at least in the future be a very good backup, which sure, you might not think that matters. Wait till your starter goes down and you need to win a game one day. Mason Graham is a knockout. You secured an extra first-round pick for next year, and you're setting yourself up for success. Carson Schwessinger is going to be an all-pro level player one day. It's like there's talent in this room in terms of the rookie class, and that is where you are seeing good things happen. Everywhere else, it's old and it needs to be revitalized. So, sure, is there an argument to make for firing a guy because of prior things? It's like, absolutely. But I feel like it would be the most Browns thing possible to then move off of a general manager who finally nailed a draft. It's like you got good things going out and you're just going to do it and you're going to fire a guy, launch him out of a cannon because things are kind of going bad right now and the old guard is aging out. It's just like, this is a transitional year. That's kind of besides the fact. We're talking about Kevin Stefanski. I think it ultimately does come down to the level of talent. When he had the talent, when he had the Kareem Hunts, when he had the Nick Chubbs, when he had the healthy offensive lines, when he had a Jarvis Landry, even at least, this team was explosive and it was good. We had many, many games where we completely dominated the opponent by just running and hammering the ball down people's throats. But a lot of that is forgotten because of how bad things are right now. But I think if you look at the roster offensively from back then to now, you can see some parallels of like how things are going to improve. Quinshaw Judkins had a solid game. Really did. That last run padded his stats, but it was a good run nonetheless. That is a Nick Chubb style explosive run. That's something you can build around and you can keep going. Dylan Sampson, 8 catches in his first game, has a touchdown catch, shirts and garbage time, doesn't matter, ran a good route, caught the ball. He probably has the best hands on this team, pound for pound. You need to keep building with that, and that's what you need to roll with going forward. Can they turn it around this year? I really don't know because their offensive line is so weak, but they're also going through the hardest part of the schedule right now. So they got to eke out a win. Like if they want a shot, they have to eke out a win or two in this stretch before the Dolphins game. And it's tough because I was pretty hard on Joe Flacco after that game. I think most people were, and it's understandable because he's just so unathletic at this point in his career. And I think that with the state of the offensive line, if you had a more mobile guy like Dylan Gabriel in there at this time, you're going to be more successful because you can mitigate some of the weaknesses of the offensive line. However, you can't throw them to the wolves because you got Micah Parsons coming into town. And again, head over to Patreon. We're going to talk about that and give our preview. But I think that Kevin Stefanski, let's see where things are at by, come Thanksgiving. I think that that's a better time to make a judgment because I think Harold Fannin, Judkins, Sampson, Gabriel, if he winds up playing, Shador maybe down the line if he winds up playing. That is the future hope of this team. And it's really hard to just like this expectation that this offensive line could have been overhauled in 1 year when in reality you had to address your offensive skill talent, which I think they did. It becomes really hard to be successful because again, the way in which Bitonio, Posich, and Teller in particular fell off a cliff after the departure of Bill Callahan was kind of unprecedented because they aren't that old. Like it's not like they're 40, Bitonio's the oldest of the bunch, mid-30s, Teller early 30s. Posich still like young enough. There's not really an excuse. I think that that's a difficult thing to put on a head coach. So am I copping out on a couple things with Stefanski? Absolutely. But all I'm saying is that when he has had the talent, the offense has been much better. Let's see as these guys grow and rise, particularly the young guys, where this offense can potentially go. That's the optimistic fan club take. However, I will touch on a couple things right now. Some things that I do not like. I don't like how everything is working out to the sidelines. We're always running away from the middle of the field or throwing away from the middle of the field. I want to attack the middle of the field. And that might just be a preference of myself and being an armchair quarterback, armchair coach. But it's an identity thing. When you're constantly moving away versus attacking down the middle, there's a psychological edge. When your offense isn't as strong, it's like you're just leaving more time for backside players to scrape across and make plays. You know, when they run these outside zones and the backside tackle or whoever's responsible for the end man on the line cuts straight across the formation and takes down the running back before he can even get across the line of scrimmage. It's like, it's really difficult to be successful. And I think that is a multifaceted issue, but I don't like that. But particularly in the pass game, I hate multiple times Joe Flacco throwing the ball out of bounds in the Ravens games. Like, what are we doing here, man? Like, the middle of the field is wide open. And that was really the only time when the Browns were moving the ball. The only time the Browns have had explosive pass plays this year have been in breaking routes, slants, digs, or running the seam from the slot and just popping that to Harold Fannin or David Njoku. That's really the only time we're getting explosive plays, minus the double move that Jerry Jeudy ran, and he finally caught the ball. So those are some things I think we got to wait on. We got to look forward to. I think that the talent is the biggest piece of the equation. I think that the offensive line is just not there, and it's not going to be there, and isn't ultimately going to be able to be addressed until later on. But I think if the offensive skill does improve and can start separating, and they make the plays when they come their way, like Jerry Jeudy and Harold Fannin on the 3rd down and 4th down, when it matters most, that's going to help out. That's going to help cover up some of the weaknesses of this offensive line. So that's my thought. I would love to know what you guys think. Put it down in the comments below. Let me know your score predictions for this upcoming game against Green Bay. And let me know when you think we're going to see a rookie quarterback next. I've publicly stated multiple times when I think it's going to be. I'd love to know when you think, or do you think Flacco can turn it around and just work his way through this season? So let me know. Head over to Patreon, watch the preview for this Green Bay game, and we will see you guys in the next one, and we'll see you Sunday after the Browns game for our live show. All right? We love you. We'll see you later.